Hey everyone, and welcome to my course in character animation. Yes, I am the Motion Marcus Magnusson, Dribble GIF guy, Twitter
genius, man.
perhaps not, but in this course I'll try to guide you through all the hurdles of character animation. And even though it might seem sort of simple in the beginning, please try to do every lesson plus the homework just so you don't get lost in the weeds once we move on to the more advanced techniques. So yeah, awesome to have you here. Let's do this. Let me just show you this one thing before we get started. This is me. I'm roughly 7.5 heads tall. This is a cartoon version of me. It's around 3 heads tall. This is if me and my cartoon version had a love child, aka the character I designed for this course, and is around 5.5 heads tall. And now why is this interesting? Well, 2 reasons. 1. It gives us a good understanding of the size difference between a normal character and a cartoon character. And 2. I'm gonna use this type of head measuring once we get into Illustrator, and that will make it a lot easier for you to follow along and imitate. So let's just head on over to Illustrator. First thing we need to do is create a new file. So tap on Create New, then choose Art and Illustration 1920 x 1080 and hit Create. Now, to align your artboard with mine, simply go to Window, Workspace and hit Painting. If your workspace doesn't look like mine, go back to Window, Workspace and hit Reset Painting. Okay, so we don't really need swatches here. How do we do it? Well, right-click on the panel and hit Close. Let's also close down Libraries, Color Guide, Brushes and Symbols. I also like to have all these snapping options turned off, as they can become quite tedious once we start designing. Now, let's get familiar with some of these tools. Go to the tool panel and locate the square tool. To scale a perfect square, just hold down Shift when you drag. If you hold down Shift plus Alt, the square will size perfectly from the center. You will also find the ellipse tool under the same drop-down. Click on it and draw a circle. And remember, if you hold down Shift plus Alt, it will scale from the center. You can also access the tools by hotkeys. Hit V to get back to the selection tool. If you hold down space, you get this little neat hand here, which allows you to browse around the canvas. To quickly zoom into your artwork, hit Command plus on Mac and Control plus on PC. And to zoom back out again, hit Command minus on Mac and Control minus on PC. Another tool we'll use frequently is the pen tool, so go to the toolbar and select it. Then try drawing some curved lines. If you click and drag at the same time, you will get these little neat Bezier handles. To stop drawing, I normally hit V, which is the hotkey for the selection tool, and then I go back to the pen tool by hitting P. And then I can start drawing on a new line. If you click, drag and hold down Shift, these Bezier handles will snap to any 90-degree angle. To alter this path, go to the toolbar and choose the Direct Selection tool. Then you can alter all the different points individually. If you want to move the whole path, go back to the Selection tool by hitting V. And then if you want to go back to altering the individual points, simply hit A, which is the hotkey for the Direct Selection tool. It's a good idea to put these 2 hotkeys into your muscle memory, because you will switch between these 2 tools all the time. Up in this corner here, you can alter things such as stroke color, the stroke thickness, and the fill color. Now, if you want to copy these colors to another shape, simply select the shape you want to alter, then select the eyedropper tool in the toolbar, click on the shape which colors you want to copy, and done. The hotkey for the eyedropper tool is I, and I would recommend you familiarize yourself with that one because it will save you a lot of time. Okay, now that we got some of the basic stuff down, let's start blocking out our first character. But first, let's delete all of these objects here. Simply click, drag over the objects, and then hit delete. First thing we'll do is to draw the head, so select the ellipse tool. Turn off the stroke fill. And then draw the head around this size here. Scale it down a bit. Perfect. Now it's time to set up our reference heads, so we can easily measure our character. To do this, we need to create a copy of our existing head. The easiest way to copy the head is to select it, then hold down Alt, which will copy it, and Shift, which will snap it to either the horizontal or vertical axis at the same time. Now drag the head to the left and release. Then create 5 more instances of this head by once again holding down Alt plus Shift and dragging the heads downwards 5 times. Let's readjust the scale of all these shapes so they fit better to the canvas. And fix the positioning of this little head right here. Done. Now we just need to change the colors of these heads right here so they are distinct from the main one. To do that, simply go to the toolbar, double click on the fill and select a different color. Boom. Done. Second thing we'll do is to create the waist shape. So select the square tool, then start drawing around 2.2 heads down from the top. Done. Make sure it has a different color from the head. As you can see here, it's not 100% aligned with the head. Now, how do we fix this? Well, easy. With both shapes selected, go to the Align panel and hit this option here, which will center align them. Okay, so the third thing we need to do is to create the upper body. And it's very easy. Just copy the waist shape and position it just beneath the head like so. And remember to change the color because we want each body part to be distinct from the other. Okay, so the body is just a bit too wide right now. So select both the waist and the upper body by dragging over them. Then hold down Alt whilst you scale them inwards. Done. And let's just move the upper body down a bit too. Perfect. Alright, let's be a bit nice to our fella here and give him some arms. To do that, we need to select the pen tool, change from fill to stroke, and set the color to something unique. Then go to the stroke panel and set the stroke thickness to 60 points. Select the round cap and round joint options. Then start drawing your arm from the upper body down to the middle of the third head from the bottom. And there you go, our first arm. Let's just adjust the positioning a bit and make it a tiny bit shorter. Now here is when it gets interesting, and let me explain why. In roughly 90% of the cases, our character will be animated with a slight angle. And how do we achieve that angle? Easy. You just need to think that there is a front and a back. And right now we are looking at our front arm, so let's create the back arm. To do that, simply select the front arm, drag a copy of it to the other side, right-click on it, go to Arrange, and then hit Send to Back. Boom. Done. Now, you can clearly see that our character has a slight angle to it. Alright, let's create some legs. So select the pen tool, set the stroke color to something unique, and then start drawing from the waist shape down to the middle of the first head from the bottom. Then copy drag an instance of this stroke to the right side. This is now our back leg. And seeing that both legs are so closely together, it's a good idea to change the color of that back leg to a slightly darker shade. Now, we just need to move that front leg to the front. Then, select both the front leg, back leg and back arm by holding down Shift and clicking on the shapes individually. Let's move them all the way to the back. And there. Now you can see that that angle is really starting to become prominent. Okay, so we are almost there, but first we need to give our character some shoes. So, drag a copy of the waist shape down to the bottom of the legs. Play around with the scale until you're happy with the size. Then, change the color to something unique and drag a copy of the shoe to the left. Done. This is now our front shoe, so it will need a lighter shade of color. And keep on adjusting the position until you're 100% happy. Last thing we'll need to do is to create some hands. So, drag a copy from the head, scale it down a bit, then place it at the bottom of the front arm. When you're happy with the placement, drag a copy to the back arm, move it all the way to the back. Then change the colors of both hands to something unique. And voila! You got your first character. But wait. Let's just adjust the positioning of the bottom arms and hands together. To do that, we need the direct selection tool, so hit A. Then, click drag over the part we want to move. But wait. Now we got some of those points from the legs in there. How do we deselect them? Simple. Just hold down Shift and deselect the points. And now we can finally go ahead and move those hands upwards with the up arrow. And yes, if you hold down Shift at the same time, it will take bigger leaps. When you're happy with your character, I would suggest selecting it, right-clicking on it, and then hit Group. And now, you can move around the whole character as one unit without risking displacing any individual body part. Now, let's try doing some different versions of our base character. So first, do 2 copies. Ungroup them. Now, let me just show you this one thing before we go any further. If you right-click on the character, then go to Transform and hit Scale, you will see an option called Scale, Strokes and Effects. Make sure that one is filled in, because otherwise this will happen. Let's first try to do a cute character. And what is significant for a cute character? Well, I would say a tiny body and a big head. Big eyes too, of course, but that will come in our details part. And let's just move these legs up a bit, like so. Done. Now, for the third character, let's try doing something a bit more intimidating. And what is significant for an intimidating character? Well, I would say it's bigger, with broader shoulders, bigger arms, and a tinier head. And voila! That is how easy it is to alter this block format character. And yes, it might not seem like such a big deal right now, but once we start posing it, it will all make sense. But before that lesson, we will take a look on how to add details to this character. So let's just delete these heads right here and put the characters into their own separate layers. And how do we do that? Well, simply duplicate the layer 2 times. Give them logical names. Then go ahead and delete the characters that don't correspond with the particular layer name. Now we just need to save this document, so go to File, hit Save. Name it whatever you feel like. And then hit Save. Now run down to your wine cellar. Take your most expensive champagne. Pop it, spray it all around the walls like so.